Several months ago, we were following closely as billionaire after billionaire warned of financial calamity to come. Whether they were warning of a downturn, debt jubilee, or taking large positions in precious metal stocks, guys like Stanley Druckenmiller, Crispin Odey, Paul Singer, and even the trillionaire himself, Jacob Rothschild, were outspoken in their stark view of the markets. Now, we have Stanley Druckenmiller again, who sold off his entire gold position the night of Trump's victory, just buy back the same position. Initially, he thought Hillary would end up winning, but according to one interview, after Trump got elected, he thought that Donald would be in favor of lowering corporate tax rates and cutting back regulations. He viewed this as positive for both equities and the dollar, and it is the reason he sold his position in the yellow metal. The fact that he's gotten back into the same trade now shows that the billionaire may be dissatisfied with the way Trump's policies are moving. Druckenmiller, who manages his own personal $4.7 billion fortune, isn't alone. Although his net worth is less than some of his money-managing counterparts, Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, also just turned unexpectedly bearish. BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager, with control of over $5.1 trillion in assets. Its CEO was just quoted by Reuters as saying, "I see a lot of dark shadows. The markets are probably ahead of themselves." Fink added that disruptions to trade are a possibility, and that we're living in a bipolar world right now. He also said that he expects to see the Federal Reserve raise rates this coming June, and perhaps once again before the year is over. If markets are going to react anything like they did the last time the Fed raised rates when the U.S. market subsequently had the worst January in history, we should certainly be taking note. Lately, gold prices have significantly rebounded and hit 3-month highs. Bitcoin, too, has jumped back above $1,000 to hit a 1-month high and is within striking distance of its 2017 high. Gold and Bitcoin are typically used as a safe haven to hedge against a falling dollar or inflationary scenario. Movements to the upside are a good indication that it's time to either add to your position or start a new one if you haven't already. With the uncertainty about stocks, you'll want to get the most updated information on how to protect yourself from a potential downturn through investments in other cryptocurrencies and specific stock picks. The Dollar Vigilante and our senior analyst Ed Bugos provide those via our newsletter, which you can subscribe to at dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. Also, join us this coming February 24th in beautiful Acapulco, Mexico for our TDV Internationalization and Investment Summit. It includes numerous speakers on the forefront of blockchain technology, asset management, precious metals, and trading strategy, including G. Edward Griffin, David Morgan, Bix Weir, and many more. You can find out more at tdvinvestmentsummit.com. And after that, we invite you to stay a bit longer and get a ticket for Anarchapulco, the largest voluntarist conference in the world, at anarchapulco.com. It starts the following day and will be held under the same roof of the 5-star Hotel Mundo Imperial and finishes on February 28th with Cryptopolco, an entire day devoted to blockchain and cryptocurrencies with all the world's top experts. We look forward to seeing you there in a few weeks.
The world is going to be dramatically different in just a few short years. The European Union is fracturing, beginning with Brexit. Donald Trump is ushering in a new era of populism and protectionism. Government debt is wildly out of control. Numerous central banks have gone to negative interest rates in order to keep the system going just a little while longer. Capital controls are increasing, while the war on cash has been pursued with fervor in places like India and Venezuela. The World Bank, IMF, Bank of Canada, George Soros, Jacob Rothschild, and many more have warned that we are in uncharted waters and on the edge of collapse. Putting your money in a mutual fund and holding it for 30 years will not work anymore. Jeff Berwick has been warning of this since founding the Dollar Vigilante with Ed Bugos in 2010, and his calls have been epic. He was the first prominent financial commentator to tell his subscribers and the public to get into Bitcoin when it was $3 in 2011. It is currently $800.
What's your connection to Bitcoin?
My main connection is I'm incredibly excited about it. Bitcoin is a revolution in money and banking, the same way that the internet was a revolution in communication.
Ed Bugos has been one of the few to warn of the 2001 and 2008 crashes, and has been bullish on gold since its bottom in the year 2000. And together, they are holding their annual TDV Investment and Internationalization Summit this February in Acapulco, Mexico, to help you prepare for the crisis ahead. Last year at the TDV Summit, they warned of what was coming and gave advice that made attendees fortunes.
This is why we're at where we're at, central banking. Give a man a gun and he can rob a bank. Give a man a bank and he can rob everyone. And, you know, we all grew up watching old westerns and people would rob banks. That was the good old days, and now banks rob you.
Ed Bugos mentioned 3 stocks to buy. Agnico Eagle.
Agnico Eagle is run by one of the most experienced management teams in the industry.
And it rose 76.31% since. B2 Gold Corp.
B2 Gold Corp is responsible for discovering more than 30 million ounces of gold in their careers.
And it rose 248%. And Sabina Gold and Silver Corp.
Sabina is an emerging producer.
It then rose 147%. These are terrific calls, and this year you can expect more of them. Jeff Berwick and Ed Bugos will be surrounded with an all-star lineup of speakers, including author of The Creature from Jekyll Island, G. Edward Griffin, who will discuss the state of central banking today. The world's most respected silver analyst, David Morgan of The Morgan Report. Bix Ware of RoadToRuta.com on discovery of the truth behind our massively manipulated markets, and to help expose those who threaten our free market system. Chairman of the Gold Antitrust Action Committee, GATA, Bill Murphy, continues to expose the manipulation of the gold price by the gold cartel. Returning speaker Roger Ver, the Bitcoin Jesus, who recommended buying Bitcoin at last year's conference when it was below $400. It has since risen to over $1,000. Other speakers include Chris Casey of Windrock Wealth Management and Colin Cattell of Palisade Global, and many more. The TDV Internationalization and Investment Summit will be an all-day and evening event on February 24th, held in the 5-star Mundo Imperial Resort and Convention Center in Acapulco, Mexico. For the price of $395, you will spend an entire day with these experts, including an entire evening gala banquet with all food and drinks included. You can find more at tdvinvestmentsummit.com and register today because space is limited. And stay after the summit for the 4-day Anarchapulco conference with the world's biggest anarcho-capitalist speakers, investors, and entrepreneurs, including an entire day on blockchain, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrencies called Cryptopolco on February 28th. And for even more, Tone Vase will host a 2-day stock and cryptocurrency trading workshop after Anarchapulco called TDV Pro Trading Techniques on March 2nd and 3rd. It will be an entire week of activities, and it all starts with the TDV Internationalization and Investment Summit on February 24th. Register now.